Welcome, everyone. Another episode of 41 is the Mic. I am Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest, alongside rookie minicamp enthusiast Nick Jacobs from KSHB 41. Nick, do you have your fill of rookie minicamp yet?
I'm getting close to it, but I appreciate that you recognize my enthusiasm for a multitude of events and topics.
Rookie minicamp, famously, Andy Reid says every year that, at the beginning of the weekend, it doesn't really resemble real football. And then by the end of the 3-day minicamp, it starts to kind of look like football a little bit.
We're closer to it. It was day two was a little bit rougher than I anticipated being. Day one a little more smoother than I anticipated it. So yeah, it's just I'll be curious to get your feedback on day three down the road here, but I'm gonna enjoy my off day on that day personally.
Yeah, Monday. I mean, the Chiefs run rookie minicamp just like a regular practice period,
Yeah.
regular practice week. So Saturday was a Wednesday, Sunday's practice was a Thursday, and they'll do a fast Monday to get the guys out of here because some of these all these tryout players, a lot of them will be getting on planes and heading out of here so that they can get ready for another tryout next weekend with the teams that are holding their mini camps just in a few days. So, it's a crazy period of time for especially these tryout players. The Chiefs had 37 tryout players, I think, in camp over the last couple days.
I just know when I counted up total, there was about 76 or 77 players on the roster from tryouts, UDFAs, rookies, and a couple other guys that are on the roster, but they're still eligible to be a part of the process.
Yeah, it's been a busy weekend at the training complex. So let's kind of get into it first. One thing I want to start with, because we've now heard from all the draft picks over the last couple of days with press conferences. All of the players that the Chiefs have selected have spoken. We're going to hear from a couple of other players on Monday. But anything stand out to you from what you heard from the rookie draft picks over the last couple of days on the podium?
Kingsley is just as sincere as he was on the Zoom, and he's very excited to be able to block for Patrick Mahomes. That means a lot to him. So, I mean, that was one of the things that stood out there. I would say Hicks, when he made the comment that he's got a chip on his shoulder still after all the teams that passed on him, that one really stuck out to me. Xavier really just wants to get settled in and be able to contribute in the offense was the biggest thing I took away from him. I mean, Norzad's always going to be entertaining. He just got a good head on his shoulders. And then Hansen seemed like the most genuinely appreciative to be here, be in the moment, and to be drafted by the Chiefs. And really, that's going to carry him more so than I think it will some other players maybe would have, just how much it means to him and how whenever he made the comment and whenever we were in the presser and he talked about how, the way he phrased it just really stuck with me, to where he said he always dreamed of playing in the NFL, but he didn't know it was really possible until agents started contacting him after week 4. Like, that one really kind of sunk into me about like just how far he had to come to get this opportunity.
Yeah. Kingsley, when I asked him about wearing 76, and he talked about, well, because Orlando Pace was his favorite player growing up, and
Yeah.
so he wore it from the very beginning of his high school career. Kingsley Suamadi absolutely knew he was going to be an offensive lineman from very, very small age. So that's the one thing. But I'm with you on C.J. Hansen. I mean, that's a kid that you talk about the cliche of he loves football. I don't think it's a cliche with him. I mean, he really seems to love football and is absolutely one of those guys that I think everybody wants on their team, because that's the guy who's absolutely going to go through a wall for your team. And thinking about and looking at just how hard he has struggled to get where he is, that kid's not going to give up.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, he's a very appreciative kid. Like, I mean, you can tell in every word he says. And the thing that I wanted to kind of ask him, but I'll ask him down the road after he's been doing it a little bit more and got a little bit more under his belt, is just how much pressure does he feel to succeed in the NFL, not only for his family, but for all his teammates at Holy Cross and for all the kids in high school. How much of that does he carry on his back through this NFL process? Because, like, just the way he talked about how they bust his teammates in at the church to be able to watch us all together, and just that moment and all that. I mean, I know, I know there's a lot of, and it can be for every single one of the players that's on that roster. There's people that they're all playing for. I don't know, just hearing him kind of talk about how he's got a whole team that, it's different than a Texas where they're going to, you got a bunch of teammates that may go in, or an SEC school or something like that. But to be the first guy drafted in, 30 plus years almost, and kind of have to carry that for generations of the football program. That one I think could probably be how does he handle trying to compartmentalize that and not let it keep him from succeeding in the NFL whenever he has a mistake here and there.
Yeah, one thing that really stands out, and I'm not only just saying this from what we've seen in the interviews with these players, both last weekend and this week at the podiums, but even talking to people behind the scenes who have been dealing with these players so far, all really likable guys. I mean, I don't see a real diva in the whole group. A group that certainly looks like and feels like they have a high football IQ. I see all of them dropping into that locker room and fitting like a glove. I mean, it's easy to see why the Chiefs were high on every single one of these players, not just on the football field, but also just how they're going to fit in and be good teammates. I mean, you absolutely see that. The last 2 days, Nick, I mean, the weather hasn't been real cooperative for the Chiefs for this rookie mini camp, and I think it was probably a wise decision to go in and move inside on Sunday, because first day Saturday, those winds were not kind, especially if you were trying to catch a pass or especially trying to catch a kick. It was kind of rough, wasn't it, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, but hey, for me, I still got a little bit of a tan, even though the clouds were out and about. I still look like I got some sun that day. The rays still got through the clouds, so I consider it a win for me. We got outside. We got we got to watch a little bit of some, of what football can be right now for us. But yeah, I mean, I mean, Xavier Worthy. I mean, look, I thought he had first day jitters when we were out there, and I thought a lot of the guys did. So that's why I don't really I don't really punish any of them for the fact that like they're out there trying to make a statement. And then the first time they're in Kansas City and they're on a practice field with the Chiefs, and then on top of it, you got us media members less than 300 feet away from you, probably, while you're doing that. And it's just added pressure. And so all that combined, it's good to get those jitters out of the way now while you can, because then the next round of jitters is going to come whenever the veterans are around. And then the next round of jitters after that is going to be when you're at training camp and you have thousands and thousands of fans showing up to practice, which most of them probably didn't have in college on a regular basis other than a spring game. But like on a regular day in, day out basis, that's going to be a whole new experience. So they got all these checkpoints along the way that, are going to get them ready for an NFL season.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. I mean, I thought there was a lot of rookie nerves on Saturday, and the weather probably added to that as well. Going indoors on Sunday obviously made it ideal conditions, and honestly, I mean, it was night and day. I thought Xavier Worthy, bless his heart, on Saturday was just a young kid who needed a hug, and I don't know if anybody gave him that hug, Nick, but he looked like a different player on Sunday. Definitely more comfortable receiving kicks. Looked more comfortable on the field. There were some questions because he did skip the last couple of series of 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 on Saturday. May have gotten a little dinged up, but certainly didn't seem to affect him. He was back at it on Sunday and made some good plays.
Look, I mean, I want to see him against, NFL DBs have been in the league for a while and can look at his tells and everything. But I mean, from what he did from a rookie camp perspective, like you saw everything advertised that he was, whether it's speed, the cuts, the double moves, everything that he did. And he even took on a little bit of what would be, he didn't have as much cushion as he did in coach's film in college. He had guys that were closer to him, even a guy, by the name of Kamal Haddon that can is a physical style corner himself and can do some damage. And then I remember at one point during one of the plays, I got to look his name up just because I want to make sure I say it accurately. Trill Williams, at one of the tryout guys, they got a little physical at one point. But yeah, I mean, he had to take on those challenges. He had a couple fantastic double moves today, get himself wide open. And I mean, I'm more intrigued to see him in the weeks ahead whenever he's working with some of the veterans and going against some of the veterans in the secondary, and kind of what tells do they see, what do they coach him on, and kind of get him up to speed. But I mean, athletically, it's there, and I'm not as worried about him playing at the weight he's going to, as I would have been potentially going into it. He handled himself well. I know when shoulder pads come on, we'll see what happens, but he's got a hunger for football. He's got a desire, and I'm not worried about him. And I'm also not really worried about the running back room now.
I'm with you there. I mean, it's that running back room has been pretty impressive this week. I mean, and now it's it's no non-contact. I get it. It's it's a passing camp. I get it. But there've been more than a couple of guys that look pretty good there. I thought Hassan Hall has looked really good. Amani Bailey has been impressive. I even think a guy like Benjamin has been good. I think it's going to be tough for him to have to beat out a younger guy who's kind of the same size. I mean, Amani Bailey, I look at him, Nick, and I mean, he looks like Maurice Jones-Drew. He's not as fast for sure, but he's a bowling ball, just like Mojo was.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of stuck out about the running backs, this is just one little piece of the puzzle, is like you said, with Hall, whether it's Hall, Carson Steele, Luis Rees-Zammit.
Yep. We need to talk about him too.
We will. And then obviously, like you said, Benjamin, that's working out as well. When you take all those guys, Benjamin did a good job this weekend working with them to help them understand, finish the play out. So, that run may have stopped at 15 yards, but run all the way to the end zone and score. And I remember he told that to one of the receivers today as well, and reminded them, no, that's going to be a touchdown. Go ahead and score, and then get that, and just kind of ingraining that in some of those guys' heads, whether they end up here or somewhere else, just putting that in some of the younger guys' heads. He didn't have to tell Carson Steele that. Carson Steele was doing that where they got the ball on every play or not, dude, just sprinting down to the end zone and back. And Carson, I'm curious to watch him run once pads come on, but he just reminds me just like a little Peyton Hillis. Just kind of how his running style and how he goes about it just kind of reminds me of that. Benjamin, I'm curious to see if they'll add him to the roster or not after rookie camp's over, because he's shown enough there, and not only in veteran leadership alone with some of the younger guys this weekend, and just kind of his understanding the NFL, that I would love to see him in the running back room, and the Chiefs kind of work with him. But there's more speed in the running back room than I thought there would be from what I saw from the rookies and young guys this weekend, to where I think they'll be able to work with what they got.
Yeah, there's sometimes guys play faster than their speed is on the field. I mean, Kareem Hunt was, I think, one of those guys. I mean, they play faster than their 40 time is. You mentioned the rugby guy, Luis Rees-Zammit. Maybe low expectations, Nick, because I went in thinking, okay, this guy's only been playing football a couple of months. This could be rough. Am I crazy that he didn't look that bad? I mean, there's a couple of things to work on, but that guy's fast.
The thing that stood out to him at rookie camp was how fast he was, and how he gave max effort on every single play, whether he was coming out of the backfield or what he may be doing. Like he gave you full effort on every single play, and he ran the distance on every single one of them to the end zone, whether he got the ball or not. And he did that same thing. So, I mean, now his speed jumps out at you, and I don't remember if we were able to say or not what had happened, but there was a play that I'm like, okay, this is an Andy Reid special here. And then you saw it, and you're like, yep, okay, he fits in well from a speed perspective here.
Was that
let's see when the shoulder pads come on, and whenever they take a hit, how he does and bounces back up after that. But yeah, there's a lot of promise there, and just watching him on the first couple of plays that he had on day one, you're like, that's why they took the chance right there.
Yeah.
Like you see that bird for him and Worthy both stood out from a speed perspective, that you're like, oh, okay.
Was that the screenplay for Luis Rees-Zammit today?
Maybe.
We can say that. So we can at least give that a
remember. I don't remember the guidelines. But okay. Yeah, but no, that was it. Well, Andy Reid special, those are Andy Reid specials. So
yeah, we're not supposed to tell you who's running with the first team or something like that, but like it matters at a rookie minicamp. So
I can't remember. So I just try to be as
highlights we can talk about. So you're good. You're safe.
All right. I'll let you be my Sherpa on this.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I do think that he will probably take things a little bit differently, and I think that's the way that the Chiefs are probably figuring it, is that the first couple of times he gets hit in July, he's going to probably change some things about his game. I mean, we'll see if the way he holds the football will continue. I mean, still a little rugby-ish. He's got a pretty upright style that might change a little bit, but I don't think you want to change too much because the guy runs with a full head of steam, and let him do his thing, right?
And the thing I'll say about him is like from a lower body perspective, that's the closest I've seen a skill player look to Tyreek in terms of that type of strength. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're not far from each other in the ballpark of speed when you watch them just physically on a field. Like I was like, whenever I saw him, I was like, good Lord, it's like Tyreek could be like, hey dude, good workout plan, man. Like, so like, yeah, no, they both can run fast because of it.
Was there anybody else that really stood out to you the last couple of days that now you've got your eye on and start thinking maybe, hey, that this guy might be a player who could stick on the 90-man roster?
Well, I'll say this, even though he's definitely gonna be on the 90 man. Jared Wiley, obviously.
Oh, good grief,
Like
yeah.
Jared Wiley just flashed every single day, man. Some of the catches he made, the moves he made, the adjustments he made on some routes. I'm really excited to kind of see him whenever he works with either if he gets to work with Carson Wentz or Patrick Mahomes, and just kind of what he can be, and when he gets to watch Travis Kelce on a regular basis, like because he's already got some of the stuff down and some of the tight windows where he caught passes and was fearless enough to go up and get it, and just like the chances he was willing to take and everything, like there's a ton of promise with Jared Wiley. So yeah, I would say those are the biggest, obviously. And then for people that don't know, like you and I got to see Chris Oladokun this weekend. I'm curious to see what the reps this weekend will do for him down the road. And if, because I mean, he's was always going to get a lot of reps in rookie camp, and that's good because he didn't exactly get a ton during training camp. So
Yeah.
this was a lot of good work for him this weekend.
It was, and just as important to me was the confidence with which he kind of ran things out there. And the Chiefs were lucky, honestly, to have a guy who's been in the system for a couple of years, who's still technically a first-year player that could be out there for this mini camp, because we've seen rookie mini camps on offense just look like a fire drill sometimes. And having Chris that's been able to take the bulk of the snaps and be able to get guys on the same page. There were times that, and hey, there were absolutely times when they were not on the same page. Maybe receivers had the wrong route, misunderstandings, a couple of guys in the same area. But that was probably one of the more organized offenses I've seen the last couple of days at a rookie mini camp. And I think that Oladokun deserves a lot of that credit.
Yeah, no, they were very efficient, very effective compared to a lot of other rookie camps over the past decade for whatever Andy's working with. Yeah, no, they were very efficient and very effective. So I was happy about that. I'm looking through the roster at this point. Just some guys that kind of intrigued me for the most part. Brandon Porter intrigued me on day one, and he is one of the rookie minicamp tryouts. I'm intrigued to see if they'll make a play on him because he made some athletic, acrobatic catches that, with the way that wind was working on day one, that I was actually really impressed with. Anybody for you right now, Matt?
Yeah, and it flashed a little bit for me on Saturday, but on Sunday with the hands, Jaron Hayek from Villanova, another one of the tryout receivers, just seems to catch everything that's thrown his way. And I was watching some of his clips on YouTube just to find out how to pronounce his name correctly. And I was like watching his film, and I'm like, dang, this guy's got some speed and some pop. So I see why the Chiefs are interested in him. He's got good size too. I think he's he's got 6 foot. Chiefs also had a 6'6" receiver in here for the rookie minicamp tryout that just towers over everybody. I don't know if he's going to make it or not. Zach McCarron Mathis he's a big dude. But I will say, and once again, I mean, not to do a disservice to the offensive and defensive linemen, this is a passing camp. So
Right.
really, really hard to make an impression there. But I will say Miles Battle, the corner, I think he's 6'3", good size. I mean, that is absolutely another one of these guys that if you give him to Dave Merritt, I'm going to be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I'll give you one defensive lineman, one defensive back, and then that'll kind of be it for me. Trill Williams, I thought was really physical corner. I really liked what he brought to the what he brought on day one and part of day two. He is a veteran tryout, and then Fabian Lovett, one of their undrafted UDFAs. I got to watch him in D-line drills since they're in front of us today, and just how quickly he picked up what the defensive lineman coaches were telling him, and just how perfectly he executed what they wanted. Like just spot on to it. Could coach him really easily, and like he just needed to see the example once, and boom, he was able to do it. And they were trying a bunch of different things that I'm not really going to go in depth about, but their pass rushing moves and their combination pass rushing moves, and he effectively executed every single one of them after just watching them with a first rep or first example by the coach. And he was the first one in line that the coach wanted to do every single one of them. And so like that just kind of stuck with me to where I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive that he was able to duplicate that within 10 seconds of watching that. Like that's a really smart player right there. And just be able to put it all together. That's tough to do for a lot of people. And he did that in a flash.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. I mean, Fabian Lovett, to me, especially getting to see those defensive line drills up close the way today, like we were able to, since they moved indoors. And so people
Yeah.
who don't know, we are actually in the balcony overlooking the practice field. So when the defensive line are doing their drills, they're literally right below us. So getting to have that perspective and that angle is, one, it's unique, and two, I mean, you couldn't get much closer than that. So being able to watch those guys, and I thought the exact same thing about Lovett. I mean, he's obviously a great size for that position, but just seeing how quick he is, how powerful he is, yeah, I think that seems like a guy that Joe Colin is going to have a lot of fun with. So I'm with you there. Honestly, I mean, been impressed. I mean, the Chiefs obviously do a great job bringing in talent for these.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I'm going to say, Nick, and I'm kind of curious about your thoughts, and I know everybody, we're on kind of a deadline today, so this is going to be an express version of the 41 is the mic, but we really got to see our first look of an NFL practice and the new kickoff rule, and
Yeah.
it is wrinkling my brain, Nick.
I Here's what I'm gonna say about Dave Toub. Dave Toub got his money's worth being able to test different things out, and it's created a lot of scenarios in my head that I didn't have before, and I'm happy about that. And just there's a lot of nuances and intriguing parts of it that the Chiefs under Dave Toub are going to find a really good advantage. They're going to find some creative opportunities, and once the veterans come into town and start doing it on a regular basis, that's actually one of the more exciting points I'm going to have in practice. Outside of being able to watch the ball rotate yesterday in the wind on the punts, I think where Riza was punting a couple of them that we saw, right, that went that way.
Yeah,
And
well, the
just
left-footed punter. Yeah.
how tough the rotation was just in general from being a left-footed punter, with the wind and the way it took it and the way it whipped it and everything. I was like, holy heck. So yeah, like there's going to be some interesting things to continue to watch. But yeah, no, that kick return, and there's a lot of things that Dave Toe's been putting up on the drawing board that he wanted to test out before the vets came in, and he got his money's worth today. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing, Toe. That's why you're getting paid that kind of money to be special teams coordinator.
I mean, I will say this. When I first read those rules for the new kickoff, my first thought was, I don't know why you would ever kick the football off traditionally ever again. I mean, to me, there's just too many advantages towards doing some really tricky little things with the football and some squibs and line drives and all of this nonsense. And that is exactly what Dave Toub lives for. I mean, he loves turning special teams into a chess game. And if he can play some 4D chess on special teams, Dave Toub's going to try and do it.
He had a lot of fun with that today. And I think Andy's going to give him a lot of time to work on that during training camp if he wants to, because there was a couple scenarios I saw today that I'm like, ooh, that one right there, that one's going to be fun. That one's in a big game. That one will be real fun. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying I really don't want to ruin what they're doing right now, but man, I've watched everyone intently. And I'm going to tell you, in terms of watching a kick return part of practice, I haven't done that in a while. And to see what they were doing, I'm telling you, it's going to be the good special teams coaches are going to rise pretty quickly in the first handful of weeks about what they've been like, why they are who they are as special teams coordinators. But then you're going to see the copycats come in probably week 4 through 12, and then the good special teams coaches are going to have to try to evolve again and try to come up with something new. And then it's just going to be there's going to be some advantages early on. So whenever the NFL schedule does come out, I'm going to be looking at who the special teams coordinators are going to be for the other first 4 to 5 opponents, and I'm going to be like, well, that one will be interesting. So it's going to be interesting, man. That's actually, it's a nice little jolt for special teams after what we got to see.
That is true. You allude to the NFL schedule apparently coming out Thursday night, like a thief in the night.
Potentially.
If it does, I don't know if Nick and I are going to be able to get together to do a 41 is the mic, but at the very least, I will try and do a live YouTube on Chiefs Digest channel. You can jump on and be a part of that. We'll break down the schedule and talk about that. And if Nick can come in for a few seconds, that would be amazing. But we'll just kind of play it by ear this week and see how that happens. We will be on, obviously, the Chiefs Digest YouTube channel on Tuesday for the weekly Q&A. And hopefully next week, Nick will be able to get back to our kind of normal 41 is the mic schedule and have a more in-depth discussion over what is all going on, because it's been football this weekend, Nick. We finally got to see some football, and I'm fired up for it. And we're going to get to see more here in a couple of weeks.
Well, and here's the unique thing about it. You and I are probably one of the only podcasts that had both members able to sit there and watch and witnesses the first 2 practices of rookie minicamp. So you're not going to get that a lot of other places. I'm not saying there won't be members on other podcasts that will be able to showcase that, but I'm saying like you're not going to get that in a lot of avenues. So I'm just saying, like, Matt and I don't take lightly what we're telling you, because we have to be your eyes and ears as much as we can be while we're out there within the parameters and guidelines to be able to watch all that.
100%. And yes, you talk about the rules and guidelines. We try and follow the rules as much as we can while still making sure that you know what's happening out there. But it's been a blast, Nick, and we've got more to share. So wish we had a little bit more time with you today, but hopefully you got what you needed for now. We'll be back in your stream both next week with our next episode of 41 is the mic and on the Chiefs Digest YouTube channel. So thank you very much for joining us, and leave your comments and questions. Put your reviews out there. Give us those 5 stars. Hit the bell. All those things to make sure that other people can find the podcast. We appreciate your support. And so, Nick, I will leave it up to you for the final parting words.
As always, until next time, I bid you adieu.